Hello, welcome to the Libyan Insider. I'm your host, Abduladim Elgehani. Every week, I'll be looking at topics that are relevant to the lives and hearts of Libyans with the help of my special guests. The current ongoing struggle between the Palestinians and Israelis is leading the world news. A big part of the conflict is the media's role in informing people of what is going on. Today we'll be discussing the Western media's attempt to portraying the war to its audiences and whether it's doing enough to convey an accurate depiction of the current affairs in Israel-Palestine. Joining me to discuss this and more is Dr. Fathi Al-Fadli, a former lecturer at Tripoli's College of Education and a former also academic advisor to the Ministry of Education and a political writer. Thank you very much for joining us today.
The honor is mine.
I want to start off by talking about how the Western media portrays Israeli and Palestinian lives. There's an assumption that one life is worth more than another, and another assumption is that it's worth killing as many Palestinians as possible in order to help Israel's case for self-defense. So how do you kind of understand, or is there a difference between the depiction of both lives in Western media?
Actually, what you present, first of all, thank you for having me. It's an honor to talk about this sensitive issue the whole world is talking about. I have my point of view as a Muslim, as an Arab, as a Libyan, that tell you the truth, I am pro-Palestinian, but I'm not going to tell you my own opinion because some people may think that it's a biased opinion. So what I did, I searched the Western media, many articles, many interviews aired, and I talk exactly what they are focusing on, what concepts, what wording they are focusing on regarding the conflict. The first thing I noticed, and probably any common reader like me wouldn't notice, is that Israel is always the victim. Always the victim are the Israelis, okay? And that Hamas is a terrorist organization, and they call it ISIS, the new ISIS, okay, new Daesh, okay? And this wording and these concepts and these statements are delivered by head of states, head of Western states, England, Germany, France, United States, you name it. Head of states, they are using this wording and these concepts. Another point, okay, so we say that Israel always the victim and Hamas is a terrorist group. The other concept they try to implant it in our minds, in the people's minds and hearts actually, that the war is between Hamas and Israel. And that's not true, of course. It is not between...
As if the Palestinians are separate from Hamas.
Exactly, as if the Palestinians are separate. In the same time, they are fighting the whole Palestinians. Yeah. Infant, kids, ladies, destroying homes, has nothing to do with Hamas. The war is between the occupier, which is the name self Israel state, which is an occupied state, and the Palestinian people. But in every almost 90% of the articles or interviews, they always present that the war is between Hamas and Israel. Let me give you an example, okay? Most of the interviews with leaders, with political analysts, with writers in the Western media, most of the Western media, okay? The first question asked is, do you condemn what Hamas did? As if the war is starting in October the 7th, 2023. Yeah. And the other 7 decades, and more than 7 decades, 75 years almost of a struggle, of conflict, of wars, vanish.
Pushed aside.
It is not there at all. Yeah. So that is, what surprises me, these media resources, these media platforms, okay, are in different countries.
Yeah.
In England, in France, in Germany, in the United States, in all the countries, those are allies to what they name it a state of Israel. They're asking the same question, as if there are, somebody emailed them, what is the question you should ask today? And that gives suspicious, of course, to everybody, to the common people. And I'm talking about the government, the administration of those countries. I'm not talking about the people of those countries. Actually, they show a great stand, as we all note these days.
Last week, I think London had 100,000 people.
I believe half a million today or yesterday, yes. Yeah, half a million. And in the whole world, I'm not talking about, again, the people who want to focus on
the governments.
The governments. Referring usually the Western media, another concept, another thing they want us to believe in that they are referring to the Israeli forces as the defense army. The defense against who? Defense against the infants, the children, the ladies, the women, the elderly, the schools, the buildings, the infrastructures. Defend what? Against what? You are an occupier. You are the one who started this war. You are the one who steal the land. You are defending against what? Can we imagine somebody who wanna commit a bank robbery, for example, and then he took one of the citizens or the customers of that bank as a hostage? Can we say that he is the right to defend himself? You are the one who committed the crime by occupying the land. The highest level of terrorism is occupying other people's land. So you are the one who started the war, and I'm surprising how you are defending what? So that's another concept, okay, they want us to believe in, that this army is to defend Israel. It's not attacking, it's not killing, it's not destroying. They are the innocent one. They are very nice angels until somebody else did something to them.
And just on your point of content, they never mention context of this conflict.
Yes.
Al Jazeera had a program called Listening Post on Algeria English, and they found out that editors of these big news corporations were sent emails on the 7th that they should never ever mention any context what happened before 7th.
Yes.
What was happening in Gaza.
Everybody talks about October the 7th, 2023. And that is the first question they ask people. And to tell you the truth, I watched many interviews with a non-Muslims, non-Palestinian, non-Arabs, analyst and writer and correspondent. They were very serious about attacking this question. And one of them telling the interviewer, are you making fun of me? And you're asking me something happened yesterday or 2 weeks ago. So the people have a good background, a good knowledge about what is going on. Another point, the Semitism, anti-Semitism. They try, whatever you attack Israel, you attack the Israel army, you attack what they are doing in Palestine, you're going to be accused of being what? Anti-Semitism. In spite of the fact that the Arabs themselves are Semitism. We are...
the Arabs,
Yeah, we are the same
people,
and the same race. But they are terrorized people. They are terrorizing them they make the struggle as it is a religious state between the Jewish and the Muslims. And that's not true.
There's a sense of using the Holocaust as a justification for anything.
They use the Holocaust and they are making worse than what the German did to the Jewish. The German people are the one who torture, displaced, killed, burned the Jews. It's not the Arabs.
And it's worth remembering that Jews actually lived within the Muslim world, and they held very high positions in Andalusia, in Spain, or any other part of the Muslim world. And this is never mentioned, that the Jews that lived in the Muslim world were much more safer than they were in Europe.
Exactly.
And the official rabbi of the Ottoman Empire would send letters to the Jews in Europe, tell them, if you feel unsafe in Europe, come to
here.
us, and you'll find safety here.
Exactly.
So, and it's worth remembering that the war is not Islam versus Jew. I mean, it could be a Muslim occupying that land.
Exactly.
You know, and I would feel like I have to stand up against him. I think Ahmed Yassin, the co-founder of Hamas, he said it's not about, even if it's my brother, a Muslim, who is stealing my land from me, I would fight him.
Now, actually, the Muslims are already fighting these days, against Yemen and Emirates and Egypt sending weapons to Libya, fight each other. I mean, you don't have to be a Jew in order me to resist. It's a resistance to an occupation.
Yes.
I don't care whether you are a Jew, a Muslim, a Christian. You are a brutal occupier, and they have to fight you to liberate my land, period. But they want to say it, oh my God, anti-Semitism, the Jew, they are angels, they are very, very peaceful guys, okay? And look at the savage Arabs.
It's a very powerful tool they use. Even the Labour Party in the UK, Jeremy Corbyn was its leader, and he was attacked frequently because he stood against Israel for being an anti-Semite. And this was one of the big reasons why he had to kind of leave that party.
The surprise is that the German did whatever they do, which is no human accepted to the Jews, okay? For nothing, just because they are Jewish. It's not because the Jews in Germany occupied Germany or invade Germany or killed children or bombing Bonn and Berlin and Frankfurt. They did what they do to the Jews just because they are Jews. The Palestinians fighting the Jews, not because they are Jews, because they occupy the land, they kill, they destroy, they do whatever. Because everybody.
Christian Zionism is as strong as Jewish Zionism.
Exactly. So I'm surprising also from the stand of Germany. You guys who kicked them out, you guys who did what do to them, you are the one who practiced the Holocaust. And yet you deny the right of Palestinians to defend their land. So this is how Western media show us. Another point is escalation and de-escalation, of violence, When Israeli soldiers invade or storm the mosque, and they arrest and kick and kill and put in jail and torture ladies, youth, elderly, then there has to be a reaction, natural reaction from those people. The reaction is called escalation of violence. That is in most of the Western media, the reaction to the violence, they name it escalation of the violence. The Muslims escalate the violence. They should be receive whatever they receive of how they treat it in a peaceful way. And that's another point. It is like spreading, as if they are agree, as if they have a list that they should go and follow.
Certain terms.
Exactly. Certain terms, certain words, certain concepts planted in the Western media.
One of the things to do with this is the babies, the story of the beheaded babies.
Yes.
Which was proven to be untrue.
Yes.
But it was used because I think we'll get to Bassem Youssef later. But he said if you kill babies, it's bad. But if you say beheaded babies, it gives a different picture.
Exactly.
You're creating a certain image in people's minds towards those people.
Yes. And escalation, Palestinian homes, or when Israeli settlers attack the Palestinian farmers or storm Al-Aqsa, for example, this is not considered an escalation of violence. What called escalation is the reaction of those people, whatever it is, which is you have the right to defend yourself. Israel has the right to defend itself. The Palestinian doesn't have the right to liberate their land. And that is a major concept. Even President Biden, the President of Germany, France, all of them, Israel has the right to defend itself from, this is not defense What we are seeing is not a defense, it's a genocide. It's an ethnic cleansing.
So if we assume you were on the BBC, for example, and they asked you, do you condemn Hamas for the 7th of October? What would be your answer?
My answer will be, I'm sorry, not you, but whoever asked me the question that you think I am stupid, okay? You are insulting my mind, insulting my education, insulting my humanity. You're insulting everything. You act as a child in front of you. You ask me about October the 7th, 2023, and you didn't ask me about 75 years. And you are asked to ask this question. Yeah. You are worried about your job. You are not brave enough. You don't deserve to be an interviewer. You don't deserve to be when you ask a question like this. You should respect your people. You should respect your citizens and ask them the right questions. When this occupation ends, 75 years of massacres, of destroying, of displacing people, 75 years, you just put them away and you ask me about yesterday? Yeah. That's an insult. I will never answer him. Plus, why didn't you invite me? Why don't you invite me when the brutal militia, which they name it, the Army of Defense or Defense and whatever.
IDF, yeah. The IDF, I think.
Yes, the IDF, where you name yourself IDF, where you are a brutal militia occupying my land. Why don't you invite me when those militias practice whatever practice against the human rights of Palestinians? Yeah. You just invite me when an organization trying to liberate their land. That's how I'm gonna answer them. Yeah. If they ask me this, I'm sorry for the word, this is a stupid question. A stupid question. I think while it is considered an escalation, we talk about this, most reporters refer to the wall, separation wall. That separation wall shouldn't be named as a separation wall. It's an apartheid.
Apartheid.
Yes, apartheid's wall, actually. But they name it a separation wall between the Palestinian and the Israelis. Yeah. But it is based on racism, based on a first-grade, obvious racism. Most reporters, again, report never explain historical, as you mentioned, historical context. They never mention it. All what they doing is what's happening today, what's happening tonight, okay? And every action taken by the Israelis is the right to defend themselves and supposedly reaction to what the Palestinians...
Nobody asks why there are 2 million people in Gaza.
Yeah.
Why is there a blockade? What kind of life do they live? Half of them are unemployed. Nobody asks these important questions.
And when did this occupation happen? Okay, and why it happens, and who started it? You know, this is the highest level terrorists. Jewish groups are the one who started this occupation. Nobody mentioned that. Okay, nobody mentioned anything. A rocket thrown towards, for example, Haifa or. And then the Israeli army reacted to that rocket. That's the whole thing they're talking about.
That's right.
They don't talk about what the Israelis did. But again, we notice, and I think everybody notes, that there is a huge, that the people are informed, the people. But the governments and the regimes and the leaders of the Western world or the allies of Israel, I think they are insisting on injecting these concepts and words and ideas, okay?
Whenever there's a pro-Palestinian voice in the media, he's always asked, of course, to condemn Hamas, always, as the first question. But when I've noticed when there's a pro-Israeli, he's never asked to condemn. So what's that saying about what the media wants? Kind of, what does it? What kind of image does it want to send its viewers? That anyone who gets killed from the Palestinian side, that's justified because Israel, as we said, is kind of on the self-defense. But there's no condemnation of anything of the occupation itself. Nothing to do with the war that's happening. Or the complete. It's not even even if we were going to say it's a response, it's not an appropriate response, because if 1,400 people are killed, if you want to kill 1,400 people, we can. But when you kill 8,000 people, that's a different. It's a different story. But nobody talks about, Israel's. It goes well. It has a habit of going beyond that red line. Always.
Actually, just supporting what you're saying, they don't name it killing. When Palestinian killed, they name it died.
Yes.
When a Palestinian died, 100 Palestinians died by themselves with no bombs. Okay.
Israelis killed.
But when they're talking about the Israelis, they say killed.
Yes.
Killed, there is a crime here. There is somebody do the job.
Yeah.
Kill, murder, savage person. Okay. Yeah. But died, everybody will die naturally. Okay. Yeah. And the point is that supposedly that Hamas is a terrorist group. Okay. It could be a terrorist group in a country that's stable and free and is not occupied. The concept of terrorism, you could agree with it, you could not agree, some will agree, some not. But in an occupied land, the highest level of terrorism is occupying the land. And some people make an organization or establish an organization to fight this occupation. You name them the terrorists. Yeah. It's not working at all. Even if they are terrorists, by the way, in their mind. Even if they are real terrorism. They want to liberate their land. In this context, the word terrorism is applied for the occupier, not for the one who want to liberate his land. Okay, supposed to be that Hamas is a savage organization, okay, and therefore they don't mention how many of them died or killed or whatever.
Yeah. But Hussam Zumlot, who's a Palestinian ambassador to the UK, he was on Newsnight, which is a BBC political program. He was asked. He said that 7 of his family were killed in Gaza, and the presenter said, "Oh, condolences. We feel sorry for you. But surely you don't support Hamas."
Oh my God!
That was one of the most clear cases of
you know what?
Of bias.
This occupation, this practice of this brutal militia, they name it Israel Defend Army, are the reason why there is Hamas. Yeah. Terrorism doesn't come out of vacuum, like Mr. Guterres said. It doesn't come out. There are going to be a lot of terrorist organizations. You name them terrorists. You created them by your violence, by occupying their land, by displacing them, by destroying their infrastructures. You're going to create groups. In the future, you're going to name them terrorism. There are groups, they want to revenge. Some people say all his family died. Some people lost their beloved one, their family members. They lost their homes, their businesses, their land, their everything. They want to revenge. It's a natural law. Then those guys who want to revenge in the future, you're going to name them terrorists. Hamas is one of those. Why there is Hamas to start with? If their country is free, if you don't occupy their land, if you don't displace their ancestors, if you don't do all this brutal, savage practice, so there will not be a Hamas. Yeah. And then when they want to liberate the land, you name them terrorism. It doesn't work like that.
And if we see the difference between the Ukraine and Russia situation, where Ukrainians are now, they're liberators, they're freedom fighters, and rightfully so if Russia is kind of invading their country. But it's the same situation as us Arabs see Israel and Palestine. And so there's one story for Russia, for Ukraine, that's fine. But for Palestinians, that's seen as unacceptable.
Yesterday I was reading or listening to something so... I believe the guy is either insane, schizophrenic, or, he looked down to humanity or something. The same guy, when Russia invaded Ukraine, he said, I can't even look to the photos and pictures and scenes of kids died, okay?
In Ukraine.
In Ukraine.
Yeah.
And the same guy in these days, okay, and he's an official, by the way, one of those officials. We always remind the audience that we're talking about the regimes and government and official. We're not talking about the people of the world, the Western people in America, in England, in France, in Germany, and even some Jew guys, they supporting the Palestinians cause. We're talking about the government. That guy who said, oh my God, I can't even look to the picture and photos of the children of Ukraine. I can't. This way, he put his hand. And you're almost acting like he's crying. The same guy, when it comes to the Palestinian kid, what did he say? Well, this is a war and civilians going to be subjected to casualties, and this is we have to expect it, and the children will die. Do you believe this? Is he insulting himself as a human? Is he a human even have the brave to say words like this in the 21st centuries? In these days, man, this is too much. There is a 14-year-old guy in Ukraine. A man in Ukraine. He threw a Molotov. Is this how it's called? A Molotov bomb. You know, this man-made or homemade bombs. He threw it on the Russian.
Okay.
Oh, they say he is the brave.
Yeah.
The brave guy, his name and the pictures, and oh my God, they make him like Superman, the best angel, Jesus, okay?
Freedom fighter, yeah.
Freedom fighter.
Yeah.
There is a 14-year-old Palestinian youth. He did the same thing. He threw a Molotov bomb on the brutal militia, okay, of Israel. And they name him, this is like against the beast, a criminal, terrorist, you name it. You name it. And that's how, what are we dealing with? Yeah. What a humanity dealing with these days? Okay, it's not a double standard. Most of the Western media say this is a double standard. It is not. It's a schizophrenic. It is more than this. It is deeper than just simple double standard in dealing with issues. And this has to be changed. Alhamdulillah, thanks God that the whole world knows the truth. The whole world.
And that's got to do with social media, a lot of it, because independent channels. And
yes.
Is very important. I mean, I want to ask if there are any positive media outlets in the West you've seen that have kind of maybe shown the true picture in both sides.
Yeah, actually, thank you for reminding me. Actually, most of the points I just mentioned, I just take them from Western articles. Here and there, some writers was brave enough to say the truth, okay? Some TV channels, some interviews. These points, I collected them from them because, as if you remember, in the beginning of the interview, I told you that
you'll be accused of bias.
I'm going to accuse this is bias, this is a Muslim, this is an Arab, this is whatever, okay?
Yeah.
These pointers are from some brave writers and
Western
political analysts and sports guys and channels, okay? And that is failing. There is a positive thing about it. Let me tell you something. Forces armed with equipment, see, that Israel, or what they call it, State of Israel, which is a state of terrorism. It's a terrorist state, terrorism state. That is, I'm following from 1948 what they are doing, the massacres, the occupation, the wars, the displacing of humans, the killing of children, the destroying of infrastructure. I'm following this 1948 until today. This terrorist state, terrorism state, okay, are supported by the greatest countries in the world, okay? And even aircraft, ships came around. And presidents of countries visited Netanyahu, okay? Italy, France, I don't know Macron went or not.
The UK is
Biden, UK, and everybody sympathized and hug him, okay? All of these support to a state against what, supposedly? An organization. See, always in the Western media, telling the two sides, the two parties. But they are not equal. There is a neutral here. There is no comparison.
Yeah.
It's a country, or a brutal country, that it is equipped with the most recent weapons in the world, supported by the greatest, supposedly strongest, greatest country in the world, okay? And they are equalized with an organization. Or, actually, not organization, a people who are scattered, Palestinians, all right? And all the Western world always mention to them as two parties fighting. And it is not two parties fighting. Okay, it is not. Okay, so it's a genocide, what's going on. It's not a self-defense, it's a genocide, it's an ethnic cleansing, it's a displacing of people to steal more lands. It's a terrorism state, obviously, no doubt about this. And it is a human cause now. It's an international human cause. It's not anymore a Palestinian cause.
Yes. On that point of positive media, Pier Morgan, the British news broadcaster, he has a program, Pier Morgan Uncensored, and I think everybody would have heard of Bassem Youssef, the Egyptian comedian, and I think his video's gone about 20 million views now. That was that interview kind of struck a tone that people can relate to. He showed the clear biases in the media. And one of the things he said was, he said my wife is Palestinian, and I always tried to kill her, but my children always stop me from doing that. They're always, being human shields, and that kind of made fun of the fact that Israel was always saying that, justifying the killing of civilians because Hamas was hiding behind civilians. It's always saying that.
Yes.
So dark humor, when it's used properly, it can have a very.
No, you remind me of a very important point these days. Okay.
Yeah.
Why are you killing this number of civilians? Yeah. They say that because Hamas. See the whole world against Hamas, okay? Hamas using them as a human shield. Okay, please suppose that's true. Suppose Hamas are using the civilians as a human shield, all right? Okay, so you kill them all?
Yeah.
You kill them, you smash them all? That is, okay, find different way. A special operation, wait until you gather some information, okay? Insider, something, there is a way. If there is a criminals or terrorist or bank robbery, okay, take a human as a shield. You don't shoot them both. Yeah. And that's, I think these days the media changed, and I think the governments, which we talk about, start to back off a little bit, okay? And I think whatever going on these days has nothing to do with what Hamas did. Whatever going on in Gaza these days, Gaza Strip, by the way, okay, has nothing to do with what Hamas did. The plan is there, it's an old plan, and they are waiting for something to implement it.
I mean, even the killings in the West Bank, there's no Hamas.
There is no Hamas in the West Bank. You remind me of something else. Sabra and Shatila massacre, there was no Hamas. Okay, Qana massacre, there is no Hamas.
Yeah.
Invasion of Lebanon, 1982. There was no Hamas.
Hamas is a scapegoat.
Yes, the war. Sharon, who died. Okay, yeah. He buried alive the prisoner of war, the Egyptian prisoner of war. There was no Hamas. There is a school called Bahr al-Baqar, Madrasat Bahr al-Baqar. Okay, it's bombed by Israel's force. Okay, airstrikes in a school, kids' school. There was no Hamas. 1948, Deir Yassin, there was no Hamas. Massacre after massacre after massacre. I wonder why in the world, the Western world, supporting these criminals. I don't know. Until now, about 60 Islamic states, supposedly. Okay? And the West, instead of put their hands economically, politically, media-wise, in the hands of those 60, they prefer this criminal state. I don't know, until now, to tell you the truth, I don't know the answer. There are many explanations, but I don't buy any of them. I don't buy any of them. There is something we don't understand until today. How in the world they sacrifice 60 Muslim states and they put all their political, financial, military powers with the hands of criminals, making massacres since 1948 until today. There is a religion explanation, media explanation, money explanation, but I don't buy any of them. There is something I don't understand yet.
Okay, that brings us to the next episode, hopefully, which will talk about the Arab or Muslim countries and their relationship with Israel.
Oh, okay.
We can finish off here, or do you have any further points?
And for the next episode, I mean, yeah.
No,
for this?
For this topic.
I was just for this topic.
We can conclude on.
I want
a final message, maybe, for people and how they should take on Western media and how they should understand.
I believe there is an international conscious now. There is an international aware of the facts. Tell you the truth, yani, alhamdulillah. And there is again back off. Those government regimes start to back off. They insist on their goals, displacing all the Palestinians from Gaza. Okay, I think today Biden say that there should be open like a strip where civilians can leave. The only thing he talks about is leave and not stop the bombing. Okay, come on, man. You just say, and he's said many statements more than Netanyahu. I think this Biden is the president of Israel or the president of America. I don't understand. There is something we don't understand yet. I want to mention the titles of some of the Western articles that I took all these points from. I share with you guys. The Guardian published an article called "The Double Standard with Israel and Palestine Leaves Us in Moral Darkness." Okay, that's published by The Guardian. The Anadolu Agency published an article titled "British Journalist Accuses Western Media of Bias in Reporting on Israel-Palestine Conflict." Another article is by the Daily Star, okay? The problem with mainstream Western media's coverage of Palestine. And then we have the Washington Post, one of the international major newspaper, everybody knows. The Washington Post published an article under the title "Opinion," say how media coverage whitewashes Israel's state violence against Palestinians, okay? And there are like 10th of articles start to mention the point of double standard or schizophrenic. It's not a double standard.
Left-wing media is better in portraying the truth maybe, than right-wing media.
Yes. It's not the right-wing, it's the extreme right-wing. Even some right-wings start to a little bit
back.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for joining me today. It's very useful, very informative. And hopefully we'll see you in another episode. Thank you very much.
Inshallah. Thank you for having me, and I wish that this war stop and humans realize that media lies is not working anymore in the 21st century.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.